Okay, so good morning, everybody. And there's a lot of new faces that weren't here last night, but maybe joined on the computer. But yeah, we're having a weekend here with Lumpur Passano, who's currently just going to take a rest downstairs. There'll be more activities with Lumpur coming shortly. After the meal, he'll receive guests and also give another Dhamma talk later this evening. And so, since we have a bit of time before the meal, I thought I would say some words, whatever arises to mind, just as we're all gathered here to practice together and hear some teachings. No, we haven't done like the formal introductions yet, but I would like to introduce also our friend Ajahn Chunda, who's traveled with Lumpur Passano from Abhayagiri. They went to Thailand and have come to India. And Ajahn Chunda will also share some reflections later this afternoon. And also we have Tanjino, who is one of my friends from Temple Forest Monastery. He's also just finished his 5th Vasa. So after we've completed 5 years in the robes, it's often a time that we kind of spread our wings, so to speak. So Tanjino has come to India for a visit, and then he'll also be going on to Thailand with Ajahn Kavali after the events and program that we're doing in Bodh Gaya. So it's nice to have them around, and of course, it's lovely to have Lumpur Passano with us. And it's also nice just to share the space with all the supporters who have helped make this happen literally from the ground up, from developing the space here, the building, all the efforts being made in creating a community, the online Zoom sessions, which is bringing about a lot of interest and support. So this is like the results of efforts from many people, and so just to share in the anumodana, or the spirit of sharing in the goodness, which has been good to make this arise. So it's personally, for me, it's quite a pleasure to again to host, or should I say, to help support and host my friends, and especially Lumpur Passano. So as we all kind of go through life and we have our spiritual journey, so to speak, there's significant characters that pop up, so to speak. So in my stumblings around in my early 20s, I think I used Google. I'm not sure if Google was actually around or if it was AOL or one of these search engines. Just typed in Buddhism in America, or in California, and Abhayagiri Buddhist Monastery popped up. So I really didn't know anything about Buddhism other than a few trips to Spirit Rock to listen to Jack Kornfield. And so I just wrote to the Abhayagiri Monastery, and again, not really having any idea what I was getting into. And they had a free open week, and this again was in the early 2000s. If people are familiar with Abhayagiri now, they have a different perception. Back then it was very, very small, very simple. And I remember when my friend just dropped me off in the middle of the night, and I just set up my tent, not knowing at the time that I was actually camping out right in front of their sala. So when all the bell started to ring in the morning, or I'm not even sure if there was a bell, but there was people walking around outside my tent, and I was actually a little bit, I wouldn't say scared, but yeah, I was certainly in an unfamiliar territory. And but sure enough, like how our monasteries are, you just kind of plug in, follow along what's happening, and before long, I was meeting Lumpur Passano, and Ajahn Amaro was also there as co-abbot. And that's kind of when I first started really, I think, to be honest, I really didn't even know where Thailand was before visiting Abhayagiri. Everyone was talking about the Thai forest tradition, and like, Thailand, where is that? And like a lot of people, it's like the beginning of picking up books by certain teachers, and yeah, getting a feel for it. But I think what was most impressionable, it was a real thing. It wasn't like I was in a library. It was like being in the midst of like a living tradition. And this is what Lumpur Passano was touching upon last night too. The sense that this tradition it's alive. It's a thing that's actually still functioning. It's more than just an idea or something that we're reading about from 2,600 years ago. It's it's alive and well, and so to have, say, Lumpur Kamen and these friends here, yeah, representing the Bhikkhu Sangha, it's it really makes one feel quite at home, especially if one is amongst themselves. So yeah, as we've spent some time together through India, we had a visit to Rishikesh, to an ashram, and really had some interesting time there, and a very pleasant time there, and learning a bit more about, say, the Advaita Vedanta culture, the culture of of monastics, which personally myself, I hadn't had much interaction with other monastics, and also for myself, Lumpur and Ajahn Chunda, it was a different experience, but it was a very welcoming experience. And again, that sense of, like, as the Swami was saying there, monks from any traditions, it's just that common, like, brotherly kind of connection that you have with people who are seeking and practicing in this form. So it was very kind of sweet to, say, be received so well, but also how Lumpur's teachings were received, so gratefully and very kind of heartwarming. And during that week, there was conversations, different kind of topics which were discussed. One being, say, the idea of like the guru disciple relationship, and that's a lot more, say, strong in the Hindu traditions, and the Swamiji himself even shared a little bit, but was also apprehensive because it's such a personal thing for somebody, how they're experiencing this kind of relationship with a guru, that he didn't open up so much, but you could really see that there was a strong sense of importance in that connection, the connection with guru, the connection with God. And in our kind of circles here, as monastics, we don't quite have that kind of same relationship. I mean, some of us maybe have an affinity to certain teachers, to certain styles, but we become part of a sangha, part of a community of monks, which a lot of the decisions and things are done literally just by one's ordination date. And so Lumpur himself, coming up on 50 years as a monk, and also a very well practicing monk, is clearly an inspiration and a guide for many of us, and also he's quite a gifted teacher. So we had that blessing, but we also have him here as within the sangha. He's our Kalyana Mitta, our spiritual friend, and we look after our elders, regardless of if we're considering them, say the guru or the teacher. It's part of our training to look after the elders in our tradition. Yeah, and that's really kind of it, as far as we have the history, and we have, say, the pictures of all the various kind of teachers that we look up to, and things arise, things pass away. The Buddha arose and passed away, and we've had many great teachers helping keep the keep the lineage alive, keep the Dhamma alive, and it's still alive. It's still alive in the world today, and that monks say are still committed to the training, committed to understanding the Patimokkha, understanding Vinaya. This is what the Buddha said when he was passing away. Again, kind of touching on this idea of the guru, like, well, who will replace the Buddha? Who will replace the Buddha when he passes away? As if we would have a successor. But the Buddha said the Dhamma and the Vinaya will be the teacher once I'm passed. So, it's clearly not about individuals and not about, let's say, specific gurus, but it's the training of sila and morality and the conventions that we live in the world, the conventions of how do we speak to people, how do we organize things, how do we conduct ourselves. And then we have the teachings of the Dhamma, the profound, teachings pointing to reality, and most importantly, pointing to the end of suffering and of subjective lives. So, and these work together quite beautifully. We obviously have to live in a conventional world. We have our names, we have our families, and we have our biographies. Yet at the same time, we have, when we start, say, exploring and practicing meditation, reflecting on the khandhas, and say seeking the self, looking for the self, it becomes more and more vague where that self actually lies. But if we get ahead of ourselves and try to act from some kind of false sense of wisdom and stop referring to ourselves as I and using all these funny tricks of language to sound clever, we end up just kind of looking a bit foolish. So just accepting the balance of conventional reality and ultimate reality, and how these operate together. And in both things, it's all a practice. We conventionally, we kind of make our mistakes, but we also, we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our friends. We learn from our elders. We get feedback. We get encouragement. Yeah, we can often feel like it's the training. Can be like a mirror for ourselves to look at the ways we're conducting ourselves. But a lot of the practice of bhavana, or at least the practice of meditation, reflections, and developing wisdom. Again, this is quite personal. It's quite only you are really experiencing what's happening, and how you're understanding the teachings, how you bring them to life within your subjective world. So the kind of image that pops to mind is the Buddha's only pointing. He's only pointing the way, like pointing at the moon. It's really up to us to look for ourselves, to investigate, and put this practice into a work in progress. So so as I was mentioning, we don't necessarily have our specific gurus in our tradition, but the nice thing about our sangha is it seems very accessible. It's not like our monks are kind of hidden away or locked away, and also within, as actually being monastics, we get quite a lot of exposure to our elders. And again, personally, just coming back to that thread of Lumpur, Passano being one of the first monks that I met. I didn't ordain at Abhayagiri. I ordained in Wat Nong Papong with Lumpur Liam. He's also on the shrine here. But just that, again, it's like this one kind of big family. So our monasteries all over the world, and we're all kind of singing the same song, so to speak, or we're all kind of tuned into that song with Lopur Liam. All right, little. What was that? Was that me on loop? Reverb, echo. So yeah, although I was in Thailand and training in those circles, Lumpur Passano, as well as many other of the teachers, would go through once or twice a year. So, I had a lot of exposure to many of the teachers. But again, having that kind of nice connection with Lumpur right from the beginning has been quite. It's interesting, I guess, subjectively, like remembering the certain times that he was visiting and things that I was going through, and struggles which I was facing and whatever, and just turned out like, oh, Lumpur Passano's in town, and being able to kind of hang out and chat with him and get some kind of feedback, as well as also I did spend 6 months at Abhayagiri. I guess it was already seven years ago. So that was the kind of time that I actually lived with him. But again, it's just that kind of continuity that you have this kind of perception of your teacher, of certain elders, and yeah, the longer you kind of stick with it, that that relationship also kind of matures and develops, and it's very easy to say that the depth of friendship that can develop from say years of being in this kind of same family. It's very, very supportive. So being able to receive Lumpur Passano, a few of us also went to the airport. Rajesh and Anish and a couple others were there to receive Lumpur and Ajahn Chunda, and yeah, it was quite a nice moment for everybody, but also for myself it was nice nice to reconnect and kind of get some metta and some encouragement and support from him, and it's been quite lovely. Yeah, and as we were mentioning yesterday, Lumpur also had a chance to go and visit the land where the monastery project is happening in a small village called Ramparganda. So all the efforts which are being made to create a monastery there, the lay supporters were able to invite Lumpur and arrange the transportation, and we had a nice small event together, which was very pleasant and warm, and especially for a couple of us that have been say on the ground there and getting to know the villagers, it was really nice to see them kind of come together and join in, as well as some of the supporters from Delhi were able to come up, and to have 4 monks sitting together and sharing a meal with the villagers, and Lumpur also giving a talk, and Mr. Dar was able to translate into Hindi so that they understood. So yeah, it was quite a nice very warm event, and it was really nice, and it gives a lot of positive energy to the project, and yeah, and just that Lumpur and many of the elders just understanding and having built monasteries themselves, they're able to offer suggestions and things like that. So being able to show him around a little bit, and again, introduce him to people, give him a sense of the project and whatnot. So it was nice for everybody to share in that. And then again, we're fortunate to have this space here in the middle of Delhi. Although I guess technically it's not the middle of Delhi, but we're in Delhi. Where we can host the sangha and have these teachers come share some time with us and get some encouragement. So as we spoke about yesterday, visiting say the museum and the reflections on Buddha. I always use the word like Buddha Nusati, like reflections on the Buddha, and however one does that, say if it's from visiting places like Bodh Gaya, or visiting the relics, or like reflecting on the life of the Buddha. These are ways which we can engage the mind and develop a sense of joy and interest in our practice, and in the same way we can use the sangha for reflection. It's, as I was mentioning, we don't necessarily have to think about historical figures that lived years and years and years ago, although of course that can be quite useful, and there's plenty of say biographies written and teachings which were offered by many of the monastic sangha. But again, we have the monastic sangha is alive and well and flourishing. It's interesting to note that the way that Ajahn Chah taught and presented the teachings and the way that he practiced, it wasn't all about the individual. It was about really creating that sense of community and training together with the Vinaya and Korwats. Korwat means basically training with, say, within the monastery. And this is what we kind of do wherever we find ourselves. We just keep up with our practice as monastics. And we can reflect on our teachers in that way. That's that idea of the sangha, reflecting on, say, specific teachings that we might have had, or interactions that we've had with the sangha, or even, say, reflecting on the goodness of, say, offering or supporting our help, or supporting help to the sangha. These are ways that we can, say, brighten the mind and bring that sense of happiness and joy. Because of course, if we have faith and confidence in the triple gem, and we also have faith and confidence that there is well-practiced sangha still in the world today, we can use this as a way to reflect on, say this morning, maybe people have prepared some food, or people have made efforts to get the audio equipment ready, and all these minor ways of minor or major ways to, say, support an event like this, or to support the sangha. We can use our thinking mind and actually reflect on the goodness, and really trying to massage that that wholesome sense of pride, or wholesome sense of happiness of our efforts, and use it for our bhavana. The practice of mindfulness and meditation can often just become dry if we're just kind of just trying to knock out the hours. If I just do 1 hour here, 1 hour there, and just watch something, it actually gets kind of boring quite fast. As many of you probably know, the hindrances can easily sweep in, and is, again, personally how we can kind of get that sense of interest and that sense of joy and that sense of uplift. Of course, there's many techniques and reflections that we can bring in, and reflecting on sangha, reflecting on, say, specific teachers or whatnot can be very supportive and conducive. Feels like the clock isn't moving. It's kind of stuck. It's like the batteries ran out. Would anyone like to ask any questions? Just just doesn't have not deep questions, but anything about Lumpur Passano, or say the sangha here, or anything, or we can go into a period of we could do some meditation together. That's my trick, is just do Q&A. not much of a monologuer. Yeah. All right. Let's do some practice. Well, yeah, just heads up. We're 25 minutes away from the meal offering. So maybe I'll just quickly describe. Actually, I don't know what's happening. I think, yeah. Yeah, I was just, I don't know what the actual procedure is going to be. I guess some of the team members will be directing you all, but let's take 20 minutes and practice together. And maybe I'll do a little just guided meditation. And again, if anybody already has their own like meditation technique that they want to use, feel free to do that. One thing that I kind of learned that it's easily overlooked, that was brought up to my attention a couple of weeks ago, just paying attention to our posture. As we're kind of learning about meditation and settling the mind, it's important to get some understanding or some guidance on how to sit properly, so that we don't end up say falling to sleep or developing a bad habit of posture. So yeah, getting our backs nice and straight is a nice place to start. And for many, I can see you need to lift up the pelvises a little bit more, but never mind that. So we can all just close our eyes and gently kind of settle into whatever posture we're in. And we can just relax our faces, sending our awareness around the eyes. Softening any tension there might be. Also the jaw. Again, letting our awareness make its way through the body. Noticing if there's any areas we're holding tension. Especially in the neck and the shoulders. And feeling the body making contact with the ground. And from that contact of the pelvis, gently lifting, straightening our back from that area. And also noticing the flavor of your mind in this moment. Whether we're feeling tired, inspired, restless, uncertain. And just telling yourself that right now you don't have anything to do. All the planning it took for you to get here, taking the metro or driving, that's all gone now. Here you are in your seat in this room. Maybe the mind's already sneaking ahead, the mention of lunch, food. That hasn't arisen yet. It might arise, but it's not sure. can also notice a sense of space, the spaciousness around. We can use hearing. Really relaxing and opening. Allowing for space in the heart. You don't need to contract or tighten up. You can relax. And even by using sounds, say my voice, then also more distant sounds, the traffic, the metro. And as we open, relax and settle, you can notice the natural respiration of our breath. If we're familiar with using the breathing, quite natural for the mind just to land there. And as we quiet our minds, again through whatever technique, we can also explore the actual experience of being. So going through each of the six senses can be useful. Reflecting on our visual field or even experiencing the visual field. Just because our eyes are closed doesn't mean that the visual field is gone. and also the very obvious sounds which arise. You might be aware of different odors which we're smelling. And we can feel the body, the temperature, the feeling of our, say, cloth on our skin. We can also observe the mind, say images or little movies, movies of past memories or future expectations, or that inner commentary, the kind of person talking in your head who has ideas, maybe even right now having a running commentary about what you're doing right now. And this is how we experience the world, within these six senses. In any way that we're using these six senses, we can observe the rising and falling of phenomena. Say how sounds just arise on their own, regardless if we want to hear them or not. And also we can see how thoughts just bubble up on their own, seemingly out of nowhere. As we sit and calm our minds, we don't know what will bubble up in the next 5 seconds. Seemingly arising out of nowhere. potentially grabbing our attention. And then ceasing, like a bubble popping. So as we bring our attention back, say to the body or to the breath, we see these bubbles or mirages. They just disappear till the next one arises. And we can recognize this knowing quality. We can recognize that we can know, or there is a knowing of sounds, a knowing of feelings in the body, a knowing of what's arising in the mind. These things don't know each other. Say a sensation in the knee doesn't know a memory from our childhood. A sound doesn't know the smell of food. But there's a knowing of these six senses. And there's a sense that there's a me in here watching. We can say, I'm watching sensations. I'm watching thoughts. That itself is a thought. So as many are familiar with the teachings of anicca, the changing nature of phenomena. It's also useful to reflect and look through the lens of anatta. Where is the self in sound, in sights, smells, tastes, touch, and cognition? We don't have to hold this as a doctrine. We use these suggestions as a way to reflect or investigate our experience. So for the last minute or two, you can just stop whatever technique you're doing. Stop doing your meditation. You don't have to do anything. Just let it all go. So we've reached 11 o'clock, and what's the plan? Is the is the meal being offered on the ground floor? Okay. So maybe we can all make our ways down to the ground floor, and I guess the food will be offered to the sangha, and we'll go down there, and then you'd all be welcome to join and share in the meal together. And after the meal, if anyone would like to meet with Lopur Passano, he'll be available at 12 o'clock. Are people eating on the third floor, or is everyone eating on the ground floor? Can people bring their plates up? What's that? That's so everyone stayed. So everyone eats there as well? Yeah, okay, okay. That'll be in that room, yeah. Okay, so yeah, if everyone wants to make their way downstairs and enjoy your meal. And yeah, thank you again, everybody, for joining.